The fireweed is starting to bloom and has been in bloom in the past week. When I see it as I'm walking to the garden, it speaks to me. The flowers, a beautiful shade of pink and purple. I didn't get a chance last year to pick any, so I wanted to collect some flowers to dry for tea. Locally, people collect the flower to make fireweed jelly. I'm not a big fan of jams or jellies as of now, so I thought it might make a great tea. So I started to research making tea with fireweed flowers, and I find out that the leaves of the plant are used to make a tea. Learning about the health benefits, and it's so abundant in this area, so I'm going to learn how to make it as well and to share it with others. So I invite you to come learn with me. So I collected the leaves July 1st of 2023 while the plant was in bloom. There wasn't many videos that said when the best time to collect is, except one, and they said, well, the plant has flowers on it, so it can have half flowers and half seed. In my own research of doing this, I started to see the leaves drying out, and when I was rolling it, it wasn't as wet as it should be. And wilting time didn't take as long as it did when I first started collecting it. So this is telling me fireweed collection is coming to an end. Once the leaves are collected, the leaves are wilted for about 24 hours before rolling. I asked this question: why do we wilt the leaves? I could not find any answer, so please, if anyone knows why, let me know. To test if the leaves are wilted, I bend the leaves, and if I hear a snap, the leaves have not wilted enough. Also, while the leaves are wilting, should toss them around once or twice within a 24-hour period while they're wilting. I find the leaves in the bottom tend to not wilt as fast as the ones sitting on top if you don't do this step. Now, I've seen different processes on how to do oxidization. I've tried two methods, hand rolling and food processor. I tried both teas, one with the food processor and one hand rolling, and the flavor was the same. I prefer the hand rolling method. It is a more gentle way of processing, and I like the appearance of the finished product. To hand roll, I take 2 to 3 leaves at a time and roll it in my hand until I feel the leaves getting moist. The fermentation process. Place the leaves in a sealed container. I prefer a glass jar. I keep it out of the sunlight and ferment for about 48 hours. Really cool idea was I used one of those large glass mason juice dispensers, so I could have large batches in one jar instead of having a dozen jars on the go. I will also flip the jar over halfway through the fermentation process if I find the leaves are drying out on top. Once the rolled leaves are in the jar, you can see the jar steaming up. There is a warmth that comes from the leaves if you were to stick your hand in the jar. Let it sit in the jar for 48 hours. For my first batch of drying, I used my dehydrator, and it worked quick and great results on drying, but I found it was much easier process to dry outside on my shady porch on a homemade tray. I wanted to try sun drying, but I feel where I live the sun is much stronger, and I wanted a more gentle dry. But I may try sun drying next year. Once dried, put in a container of choice. If using a dehydrator, let it cool before putting it into a container. Now on roasting. I couldn't find any instructions on this step. I did it at 325 for 3 minutes, and that was too high. I really prefer the tea unroasted as of now. Next year I may try and experiment with roasting. Making of the tea. Make it strong, but a tiny cup size. I let it steep for a while until it's cool enough to drink, And while it's steeping, cover it so the steam doesn't escape. Taste, test, and feeling it. Now I find a quiet space to sit and drink and feel how the tea feels in my body. Words that come to me are relaxed but energized. Tastes like a mild black tea, and this is just my perception of drinking the tea, but I would drink with a meal or after, not on an empty stomach. Overall review is if anyone has more knowledge on this lovely, wild, abundant plant and tea, please share in the comments. Looking forward for next year's fireweed.